Nicaragua. Just the name sounds like a secret, a whisper of something undiscovered. Maybe it's the way it rolls off the tongue, or the images it conjures. Lush rainforests, smoldering volcanoes, colonial cities frozen in time. This is a land of contrasts, where beauty and brutality have long been intertwined. Geographically, Nicaragua is a sliver of Central America, sandwiched between the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. It's a land of lakes and volcanoes, with a spine of mountains running down its center. The two largest lakes, Lake Managua and Lake Nicaragua, dominate the landscape, while the chain of volcanoes, some still active, adds an element of danger and awe. This unique geography has shaped Nicaragua's history, culture, and people. The fertile volcanic soil has made it an agricultural heartland, while the strategic location has made it a prize fought over by empires and revolutionaries. But beneath the surface, beneath the headlines and the history books, lies a resilience, a spirit of survival that defines the Nicaraguan people. This is a country that has seen it all: conquest, colonialism, revolution, dictatorship, and natural disasters. Yet, through it all, the Nicaraguan spirit endures. It's a spirit you can feel in the streets, in the music, in the food. It's a spirit that invites you to look closer, to listen deeper, to understand the soul of a nation that refuses to be broken. Long before the Spanish arrived, Nicaragua was home to vibrant indigenous cultures. These communities had complex social structures and rich traditions. The Nahuatl-speaking people in the West were skilled farmers and artisans. In the East, the Chorotega were known for their pottery and weaving. Their deep spiritual connection to the land was evident in their ceremonies. Today, their descendants celebrate their heritage through festivals and gatherings. The landscapes of Nicaragua blend ancient and modern, a testament to their enduring legacy. The year 1522, a year that would forever alter the course of Nicaraguan history. It marked the beginning of a profound transformation, one that would see the land and its people irrevocably changed. It was the year the Spanish conquistadors, led by the ruthless Francisco Hernández de Córdoba, first set foot on Nicaraguan soil. Their arrival was not just a moment in time, but the start of a relentless campaign of conquest and colonization. They came, as they did throughout the Americas, bearing the cross and the sword, driven by a lust for gold and a zeal for conquest. Their mission was clear: to claim new territories for the Spanish crown and to spread Christianity by any means necessary. For the indigenous people, it was the beginning of a nightmare. The arrival of the conquistadors signaled the end of their way of life, as they were forced to confront an enemy unlike any they had ever known. The conquistadors, with their superior weapons and horses, seemed like gods descended from the heavens. Their armor gleamed in the sun, and their horses, creatures the indigenous had never seen, struck fear into the hearts of the native people. They brought with them not only violence and subjugation, but also diseases that ripped through the native populations like wildfire. These diseases, to which the indigenous people had no immunity, decimated entire communities. Smallpox, measles, influenza. These invisible enemies proved far more deadly than any sword. The epidemics spread rapidly, leaving a trail of death and despair in their wake. Hernández de Córdoba, eager to establish his own dominion, founded the cities of Granada and León, laying the groundwork for what would become a brutal colonial regime. These cities were not just settlements, but symbols of Spanish authority and control. These cities, strategically located near important trade routes and fertile land, became symbols of Spanish power and the epicenter of a new social order. They were hubs of economic activity, where the wealth extracted from the land and the labor of the indigenous people flowed into Spanish coffers. The conquest of Nicaragua was swift and brutal. The Spanish forces, with their advanced military tactics and weaponry, overwhelmed the indigenous warriors who fought valiantly to defend their homeland. Indigenous resistance, though fierce, was ultimately crushed under the weight of Spanish military might and the devastating impact of disease. The once proud and independent peoples of Nicaragua were subjugated and their societies dismantled. A new era had begun, one marked by exploitation, forced labor, and the systematic dismantling of indigenous cultures. The Spanish imposed their language, religion, and customs, erasing much of the rich cultural heritage of the native peoples. The shadow of the conquistadors had fallen upon the land, casting a long and dark shadow that would linger for centuries to come. The legacy of this conquest is still felt today, as the echoes of this dark chapter in history continue to resonate in the collective memory of Nicaragua. Granada and Leon, two cities, two souls, forever intertwined yet eternally at odds. Twin cities born from the ashes of conquest, destined to become rivals in a struggle for power and dominance. Their histories are a tapestry of ambition, conflict, and resilience. Granada, nestled on the shores of Lake Nicaragua, became a center of wealth and aristocracy. Its cobblestone streets were lined with grand colonial mansions and opulent churches, symbols of its affluence and power. It was a city built on the backs of indigenous labor, its riches extracted from the surrounding countryside. The wealth of Granada was a testament to the exploitation and hard work of the native population. Leon, further north and closer to the Pacific coast, developed a more intellectual and independent spirit. It was a city that prided itself on its academic achievements and progressive ideals. Leon was home to Nicaragua's first university and became a hotbed of liberal thought and revolutionary sentiment. The city attracted thinkers, poets, and revolutionaries who sought to challenge the status quo. The rivalry between the two cities, often fueled by political intrigue and economic competition, came to reflect a deeper division within Nicaraguan society. This competition was not just about resources or influence, but about the very soul of the nation. This division between the conservative elite of Granada and the more liberal-leaning intellectuals of Leon would become a recurring theme in Nicaraguan history. It played out in civil wars, political upheavals, and social unrest, each side vying for control and the future direction of the country. It was a microcosm of the larger struggle between those who sought to maintain the status quo and those who dared to dream of a more just and equitable society. The streets of Granada and Leon became battlegrounds for these opposing visions, each protest and rally a chapter in the ongoing saga of Nicaraguan identity. The legacy of colonialism ran deep, shaping not only the physical landscape, but also the social and political fault lines that would continue to define Nicaragua for generations to come. The echoes of the past reverberated through the present, influencing every aspect of life in these twin cities. The ghosts of the conquistadors lingered in the grand plazas and cobblestone streets, a constant reminder of the past and the enduring struggle for true independence. The architecture and monuments stood as silent witnesses to the centuries of conflict and aspiration, each stone telling a story of ambition, resistance, and the unyielding quest for freedom.